Hey everyone, it's me Wendy, and in this video I'll be showing you how to make a very basic peacoat. Ta-da! Everything about this peacoat is meant to be really customizable, so when I say basic, what I mean is you can add whatever you need to it to make it look the way you want. My peacoat I made with wool. It's elongated. This one took 2.5 yards of fabric, but if you want to make a shorter one, you could probably do it with 2 yards. I'm gonna go right into how to build the base of this peacoat, and if you stick around until the end, I'll explain all the different ways you can put closures on it. Buttons, zippers, pockets. Also, I recently got a taste of my own medicine. I tried to do a DIY that someone else posted. In my finished outfit with this peacoat, I'm wearing these lace-up ballet shoes, and at the end I'll also link you to the tutorial that showed me how to make them. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you after the tutorial. Here is my 2.5 yards of wool. If you're gonna go with the wool peacoat look, make sure it's a wool that's pretty sturdy, and I especially loved the peppery look on this gray fabric. Grab any jacket that you may own, could be a leather jacket, a denim jacket, or even another light coat that you have, and we're gonna trace out a back design. Mine was long enough to go just above the knee, and along the top edge you're gonna have the back neck hole and 2 armholes. For all of these I traced about a 1/2 inch extra all the way around, and that gave me enough fabric to work with. Then you're gonna need 2 symmetrical front pieces. These I also traced from a light jacket I owned. I made them the same length going down the front, but instead of following the full curve of the front neckline, halfway over, I just lengthened it out to the side about 2 inches and made that symmetrical so that they could overlap in the front. You'll notice as you trace that the front and back armholes sometimes have a bit of a different shape, and the same goes for the sleeves. Here are the 2 symmetrical sleeve pieces that I traced. I also followed the shape of my jacket for these, and I noted that the front one was more steep and the back one was a longer drawn out curve. Next, there are 3 lining pieces that you have to have. These 2 pieces go on the inside of the 2 front flaps, so they should line up completely along the outer edge of the front flap and then cut off into a straight edge before it gets to the armhole. And on the back of the neck, we're going to have this curved piece. It should match the neck hole in the curve, and then the width of it should be enough so that it matches those front lining pieces that we cut. Focusing on the outer shell of the jacket first, I attached the front and the back pieces right sides together along the shoulders, and we're going to sew those down with a straight stitch. We're going to repeat this with the inner layer, so pin the back piece to the 2 front pieces along the shoulders, right sides together, and sew them with a straight stitch. Here's how this part looks when it's done. Bit of a funny piece, but we're about to attach it to the shell. I place the outer shell on the table with the right side facing up, and take the inner layer and put that right side facing down. So now I can pin them all together along the neck hole. We're going to sew with a straight stitch all the way around the neck hole and also down the 2 straight edges of the front flaps. I also finished off the bottom with a straight stitch that was 2 inches away from the edge. The next step will be to cut off all the excess fabric on these corners so we can flip them right side out without them being too bulky. To help the neckline lay flat when you flip it right side out, it's best to add a couple of slits along the raw fabric so that it can flex when it's folded. For both the sleeves, I pinned them to the shoulder with the right sides touching, and then I go down the front with pins and down the back with pins. We're going to sew along the entire curve with a straight stitch. As you can see, I have some excess fabric sticking out, so what I'm going to do is bring the armpits right sides together, sew down the sleeve coming from the armpit, and in the end that excess fabric is just going to get cut off. For my jacket, I wanted there to be 2 side slits, so I only sewed down the side part way until I was happy with the side slit length. If you decide to go with the side slit route, make sure you lay open those raw edges and sew up and down the 2 sides so that it lies perfectly flat. Along the bottom edge of the 2 front flaps, there's this excess fabric that didn't get picked up when it was sewn to the inner lining. For this strip, I pinned it all in place and then used my sewing machine to do a blind hem. If your sewing machine doesn't have the ability to do this, then I really recommend using some hem tape or hand stitching it so that it's attached but not super obvious. This is to show you how it works on my sewing machine. What I do is I flip over the fabric to expose a little bit of a raw edge as well as the fold, which is the spot that I need it to attach to. While I'm sewing, the needle is going to go down that little bit of raw edge and once in a while hop over to the folded edge to pick up a little bit of fabric. Its way of picking up only a little bit of fabric every so often is how this stitch stays invisible once you look at it from the right side out. Here's how this stitch looks on the inside of the jacket. So it's a straight stitch with these periodic little peaks, and those little peaks are the points where it grabs onto the outer fabric. If we flip it on the outside, you can tell it's virtually invisible, and so it's a perfect stitch for finishing off peacoats. I used the same invisible stitch to finish off the 2 sleeves and also the back of the jacket. The last thing I did to make this whole thing look really crisp was I added 2 straight stitches about 1 inch away from the edge, going all the way up the 2 front flaps and then also around the neck hole. And now we are ready to take it outside! That's how I put together this basic peacoat. I've had a lot of requests for long jackets, duster coats, trench coats. This one's kind of in the realm of all of those requests. So if you like this tutorial, let me know, and you can find more photos of this jacket on my Instagram. It is @withwendy. Finally, if you're all the way here into this video and you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and you won't miss out on any of my future tutorials. Okay, as promised, I said I would talk about the things you can do to this jacket to customize it a bit. When it comes to all the closures, like button closure, zipper closure, Velcro closure, I put together a blog post with a bunch of the typical ways that coats are closed. That is linked for you in the description, and it also covers typical pockets that you can do. Make sure you check that out, especially if you genuinely live in a place where it's windy and cold, like me. On mine, I will definitely put some closures on it. I just haven't made up my mind yet on which one I want to do. It is possible to just leave it in its fold over style, but if you live anywhere cold or windy, you will appreciate the cocoon life. Okay, and about the shoes, because I feel like people will ask about it, I made these shoes with some help from Jody. She has a YouTube channel called I Love Leather NYC. I get a lot of requests for tutorials that relate to leather, but I don't really feel like a leather expert. Jody, though, is really good with leather DIYs. I really wanted to see these shoes happen. They're based on a Miu Miu ballet shoe design. She put together a tutorial to show me how it works, and I was actually able to do it myself. So if you want to see that video, it is linked in the description, or you can click here. I think that's it for this video. There's quite a few links that I've left you with, so open up that description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. One final and biggest of thank yous to my Patreon supporters who are making it possible for me to keep making videos every week. If you want to support what I do here in my little sewing room, you can visit patreon.com/withwendy, and like all the other links in this video, this link is also in the description.